Hello everyone. So today I want to talk about automation rules, and it will be a quick video. Now I was looking at some of the recent comments, and to be honest, in general, when people reach out to me and they ask me questions about, let us say, they want to do some automation in Jira, and of course I'm talking about Jira Cloud because that is where automation rules really adds a lot of value. Now the problem with automation rules is that of course it is limited. Of course you can't really do each and everything, and even if you can do something, when you talk about automation, you want to do multiple things, like 5 or 6 things. Now there is a limit of number of, I think there is a limit of number of items that you can add, actions, I guess, but or objects, components, I guess, whatever you call them in the rule. But even if you ignore the limit, the business logic is not always easy to implement. I mean, there are some complexities where you need to basically write code. Now, what I wanted to answer to those people who are trying to do something with automation and they are not able to because they ask me question, we want to do this, but there is no action. We want to do this, but we cannot really find any kind of logic. Now, if you can't find an action, let us say you want to, I'm just trying to give you an example. Let us say you want to automatically release something, right? Or release based on some issues beyond their date, or whenever that release date is approaching, or maybe after the release date, you want to automatically release something. So it is of course one example, and there are some possibilities. And if I go to my Mastering Jira Cloud Automation course, my playlist, I have covered this a couple of times, in fact. But to answer those questions where you are not able to find a specific action, if there is no action, then of course it is not really possible. I mean, this is of course the reality of the automation rules. Of course, it is limited by, of course, you can build your logic, but eventually you're doing some action, right? For example, are you transitioning the issue, or maybe you are adding a comment? These are of course simple things, but when do you want to do it? When the branch is created, right? This is of course the trigger. Now, when you're building a rule, if you can't find a trigger, then it is not there. Simple. The answer is very simple. Of course, I can tell you that no, it is not possible, but if you can't find a trigger, or if you can't find that particular maybe action, then it is of course not possible. However, good thing about, and of course I'm trying to give you options. If you can't find those things like ready-made actions, then you can always rely on REST API. Now, REST API has, of course, a bit more possibilities. Of course, I'm talking about cloud on server. You can always, use script runner to basically do a lot of things, because script runner can talk to the Java APIs of Jira. Now, if you go to my Mastering Jira REST API, this is basically the place where I have covered and basically shown examples, working examples with scripts, actual endpoints, and what body you need to pass to do a lot of things. Now, good thing about automation rules is that you can actually make a web request to call a REST API. That is wonderful. Of course, there are some security concerns because you have to ensure that whenever you are using the auth code, it will be not, of course, hidden. But of course, automation rules is only limited for, or basically you want to make sure that it is only for admins, right? That is something that you have to take care of. But REST API can give you that extra set of possibilities, and REST API is of course wonderful. Now, what I want to say is that, of course, I'm talking about Jira Cloud and I'm talking about only cloud. Now, you have automation rules and you have, of course, REST API. Now, what you can also do, and you should also consider doing, is try to build your own interface outside Jira, because in most cases you don't really need to do things within Jira. For example, if you are doing bulk, let us say you are doing something in Jira where you need to add a bit more logic. Let us say you want to automatically create a project. Now, in this particular example of Mastering Cloud Automation, I have covered one very good example of create a project. For example, if you want to create a project where, it is of course possible using REST API, but there is no automation rule for that. So you can of course combine things together, like whenever the issue is approved, you can create a project, or maybe don't approve it. Maybe by default, it will be created for you. So this is of course a way to do some kind of self provisioning, or self-serving your customers. One example, of course, and You can also do this outside Jira. So REST API can, of course, let you interact with the tool from within, of course, Jira using automation rules, or you can also use scriptner for Jira, because scriptner for Jira relies on the REST API. And you can also, what I was talking about is you don't have to do things within Jira. Feel free to build your own interface outside Jira. In my REST API playlist, I covered shell scripts. I mean, I prefer shell scripts because shell scripts are simple. They are very easy to read, and you can plug it any way you want, and shell scripts will run on any system. By default, you don't need to install. I mean, if you go to, let us say, a big company where they have servers, they won't give you all the tools on the server. I mean, you will have a Linux server, you will have a simple server with basic tools, but you may not have, for example, Python, right? So if you can do something with shell script, if you're able to manage something with shell scripting, then I think that is my personal bias or recommendation, or whatever you want to call it, but it works. So if I have to, let us say, build an automation for a client, or maybe they are trying to do something with Jira, I tell them, okay, tell me a bit more about your server. Tell me a bit more about your setup. Tell me how you want to interact with Jira. You want to do it from within Jira? You want to do it from outside Jira? You want to do it from maybe your code that you have written somewhere, or maybe your own tool where you can make a REST call to Jira. So in this video, I just wanted to quickly summarize that you have to evaluate your options. You have to evaluate all the options when it comes to doing these wonderful things that you want to do with Jira, to make Jira work for you, to make Jira effective tool for you to, because I always say that don't do automation just for the sake of it, but of course, if there's a valid use case, if there's a need to do it, if you're able to save time, if you're able to save money, and at the same time you're reducing errors, then of course automation makes sense. And of course you have a lot of options. You have to basically evaluate your options. On cloud, to be honest, I'm not like a massive fan of cloud, because I'm used to doing things on Jira data center, and of course when you're on cloud, you feel a bit frustrated, but it is okay. I think, to be honest, majority of my clients or the instances I manage, they are on data center. So far I'm not massively bothered with it, but whenever I have to work on cloud, I have to be careful and choosy, and I always try to, before I recommend anything to my client, yes, it can be done. No, are you on a cloud? Oh, so let me think about it. Let me give you a proper solution. In most cases, because I have so many things that I've done, sometimes I just go to the site of mine, of course, ravisagar.in, and I search for, let us say, okay, can we do this? I'm not really sure. Let me check my videos. Let me search here. And this particular site is like a knowledge base for me, my own repository. So you should also build something, maybe keep your nodes somewhere handy so that you can access it. But REST API endpoints, like doing common things with Jira, is something that I always rely on, because this is what I do almost every day. I need to know these endpoints very quickly. I don't want to spend like hours proving that it can be done. I just go to my website and look for the endpoint, and I use Talent API tester or maybe my shell script to make a REST call and quickly validate that yes, it can be done. We just need to build a bit more logic. Alright, so that is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much. Bye bye.